Good morning everyone, I hope you are well. It's a little after 7 in the morning, we just arrived at the depot. Now a couple of people have asked me for a video of the more operational side of what we do, so I'm going to try and do that today. I have to caveat right at the beginning by saying there are obviously certain things I'm not going to show you about the company, the might give away internal workings and stuff, but we'll try and show you some stuff about how operational things work. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go in and sign on. Right, okay guys, hopefully you can hear me. Here I am walking in our main gate. I'm on site, I'm wearing my high vis, which is a requirement, though this particular route here is an approved walkway, but nonetheless, anyway, that's the yard this morning. And we're just going to walk down here. Hopefully we don't meet anyone coming the other way. That's our main reception area. And this is, as you can see, the traffic office. I'm not going to show the inside of the traffic office, as you can imagine, so we'll come back in a minute. Okay, and we're back at the office having signed on. We have our paperwork, which looks a little bit like that. It doesn't really matter what that says, because I don't need it. We have an app that has it all on anyway. More of that in a second. So the first thing we've got to do is go find our coach. Today we are in WRW, which is one of our green Mercs. So we are going to have a little wander around the yard until we find WRW. Is it down there? No, that's JGY. Not over by engineering. Some more Irizars there. There she is, WRW. Unless that's WRN. Hang on. Yeah, WRW. There she is. There's a decker in the process of being fixed. There's one of the NEC vehicles. See my other video on those? WRW, here we are. So the first thing we've got to do is our walk round check. Okay gang, walk round check. First thing to look at before we even start the engine is because this panel here, for the AdBlue and the fuel, as you can see, this auto locks once the engine started. So once the engine started, you can't open this. We're just going to open this up and check that both the caps are secure. Part of the walk around check, so do that before start the engine. And the other thing is in here at the back under the engine. So unfortunately, just by where this is parked, I can't quite get the boot flap up all the way, so I'm gonna have to sort of bend down. And in here, down here, let's get it on the camera, is the dipstick, and we've got to check the oil. So we'll grab that one out. Where are we going? We'll grab the nut, wipe it off, put it back in, check the oil, and also then while we're here we do a quick check over and make sure everything is good in here, no obvious leaks. So we'll check the belts that are all down there, and then once we start it up we'll also check the emergency stop, which is under here, and have a good look around in the engine and make sure nothing looks untoward. So that's all. We do that before we start the engine first time. Okay, inside, Mercs have these key fob key things that go in the slot. So in the slot, press once to bring up all the dash, wait for it to do its thing, turn the radio off briefly. There's a good thing to show you there. Pressure's dropped on this one, air pressure's dropped in the two tanks on this one. So we'll start it up properly, and then we will just rev the engine a little bit to build the pressure up. On those tanks, and we'll wait until those, only take a minute or so, but we'll wait until those tanks are into the green, and then we'll carry on the walk around check. Okay guys, we had a problem with the first coach, so we've had to swap it for another one, which means we're now running a bit short on time. So this is not everything by a long shot, but we're going to walk around the outside. We're checking things like wheel nuts, condition of the wheels, tread, up and down the vehicle for any damage or edges or anything that might be dangerous. We've got to check all the lockers, wheels, everything all around the coach. And as I say, this is by a long shot not a complete check, so none of the drivers there, no shouting at me for not doing everything. I will have done everything before I leave the depot in this vehicle. So let's walk around, same things before, checking up and down the vehicle, wheels, wheel nuts, tyres, tread depth, on all those marker lights, turn indicators, all the lights, all that kind of stuff. Mirrors, controls, lights at the front, all that good stuff. So that's a very quick walk around the outside, and I'm obviously going to check a lot more things than that. Then onto the inside, and it's obviously, as you can imagine, checking all the driver controls, everything works. That yellow warning is just a maintenance due, that's okay, the engineers will know about that, but we'll mark that on the sheet anyway, but nothing wrong there, can carry on. And then down the inside we'll be checking all the stuff inside, lights, toilet, seat belts, all that kind of stuff. Right, so as I said, we're not late, but we're running out of time now a little bit because of having stopped coaches, so I'm going to disappear for a bit and I'll catch up soon. Well folks, we're in sunny London today. We've just done a NatEx dupe, done videos about those before, so I'm not going to talk about that. However, we're going to go back to the operational stuff, and I'm going to show you how to do the destination blind because someone asked about that. Okay, so down here on the dash we have our display controller. So this is made by a company called Hanover, as you can see, and Hanover are, certainly in the UK, the biggest supplier of digital destination blinds to the bus and coach industry. So these are very common units. I'm sure all the drivers amongst you will know how to work this device. However, so back in the office, on a computer, they will have a bit of software called Helen. And Helen is the program that does two jobs for the Hanover system. The first is it stores the database of all of the entries. And the second is it gives you the front-end designer that allows you to design what each of the blinds look like. So I'm going to insert here photos showing the front, side and rear destination blinds. As you can see, they're all quite different in terms of size, shape, orientation. So they all need designing individually for every route, but of course once it's done the first time it's okay after that. And then the transfer to the vehicle itself is done via the USB, which is just under the black cover here. So in order to operate it, you have to know the code of what you want to put in. You can see there's 8 digits on the dash there, set up in 2 4s, and that works by the first grouping of 4 is the first like bank, I suppose you'd call it. And then the second group of 4 is like a second bank within the first one. So it allows you to have multiple variations within the first choice. You'll see what that means in a second. So all we do is literally just, once we know the number, is just to scroll it through. And obviously over time you start to learn what the numbers for different destinations are. So I know the Trailblazers and the Riders, all that kind of stuff into cruises. Now for National Express, for the National Express dupe that I'm doing today, the setup with the number is set up the number of the service, which makes life easier. So we did a 450 down from Nottingham, so the destination blind we would want would be 450, and we do that simply by pressing enter to get our first route number, and we just cycle up the numbers until we get to 4, go across 1, up the numbers till we get to 5, across 1, and then 450 is correct. We can just hit enter and it says London D for direct. Now to get that second bank, we can just scroll up the various options there, that's the top, and back down to the bottom. That allows us to get us the various options within that 450 first bank. So we did a London down, we're going to be go Nottingham direct back, so we'll choose Nottingham direct, hit enter, give it a couple of seconds, and there we are, 450, and then 0001 is the Nottingham direct, 0000 was the London direct, and then number 1 on the second bank there is the Nottingham direct for the return journey. And that's it, it's quite simple. Once you know what the number is for the destination, it's really quite simple. So for the geeks amongst you, this unit is a Hanover DG3, as you can say, and otherwise known as a Derrick, a Hanover Derrick. There's also an EG3, which is known as a Hanover Eric, and that is a bigger control panel that has more buttons and more functions on the actual panel itself. But especially most coaches, buses slightly different, but certainly most coaches will have a Hanover Derrick like this to control the blinds, and that's it, really not very difficult. And some more operational stuff. Now that I've arrived, dropped the passengers off, and I'm parked up in a good location here, I'm going to sweep through the coach and do things like armrests, seat backs, footrests, tidy up any obvious big bits of rubbish, just so the coach is a little bit more tidy for the next passengers coming on. If there's some variety of, you know, big crisp spillage or something, then I'll probably clear that up as well. But the odd little bit of rubbish here and there is not too bad, just to tidy it up a little bit. I'll double check the toilet, make sure that's okay. I'll admit I don't tend to do seat belts on the mid journey like this, just because I don't think the passengers really care that much. When we leave depot, obviously we would have seat belts all done up to arrive at the first destination, but here I'll admit I won't do that. Anyway, so it's a sweep through the coach just to check it all out okay, and then once that's done, put the tacho on to rest, and we'll have a little bit of a break. Okay gang, the day is done. So the run back, got a little bit of traffic around Luton, which is not unsurprising, so it took about 3.5 hours to get back, but that's nothing particularly special. I have to excuse the sun right behind me here. Operationally, I mean, nothing to say really. Got back to Nottingham, dropped the passengers off, and then let's run back to the depot and do whatever's necessary here, and sign off and about to go home. So not really much to say operationally, but hopefully it's been a little bit interesting to have a little insight into some of the operational stuff here at Skills as a coach driver. Okay guys, as always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and most importantly, add a comment down below on this video. The YouTube algorithm likes it if you add a comment, because obviously you're engaging with the video. So I don't know, ask a question, tell me how it's different at your place if you do it differently if you're a driver, but let's just get some conversation going. Okay guys, take care, as always, drive safe, and I'll see you in the next one.